there, and welcome to Drawing with Steffi. Today I'm going to do another request. I had some folks ask for me to draw some tutorials on cattaurs. So instead of a centaur that's part horse, it's going to be part cat. And just also note that I do have lots of nifty art on Redbubble, where you can get phone covers, stickers, pillows, t-shirts, a whole bunch of nifty things. It's a great way to support my art. Thank you very much, and let's move on along here. You can also see more of my art at deviantart.com. I am using a Wacom Intuos tablet and paint tool Sai as usual. So let's get started here. And I'm going to start with making sure I have enough room to get this all in here. There we go. And I think I'm going to draw him sideways. So I'm going to start with a circle here and just some construction lines. And again, there are lots of different cats. This one's just going to be kind of domestic cat-like. Using construction lines to figure out where I want everything. Simple shapes. And again, it's a good idea to use reference if this is something you've not drawn before. Despite what some people say, using reference is not a crutch. It's how you learn how to draw things. Scoot that over just a little bit. There we go. That's going to be my basic sketch. I'm going to scoot him over a little bit. There we go. So he's right in the middle. It's another nice thing about digital. You can move things around when you need to. I'm going to lighten that up. Change colors here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's try a darker blue. There we go. That's easier to see. And again, just kind of going over where I know things need to be. So this guy's going to have a cat face. So you can use the other cat furry tutorial I did recently for this too. It's a little bit leopardy looking, but that's okay. And if you guys have other tutorial requests you'd like to give me, please do leave it in the comments, or you can email me or send me a message on DeviantArt or here on YouTube. Scoot that over a little bit. Get the neck in there. A little bit of the shoulder. And the collarbone. Chest, rib cage there, give him some abs, woo! That's the nice thing about doing things digitally. You can kind of draw it all out and overlap as you need. Kind of draw a little bit of a rectangle here for the shoulder blade. I'm going to give him pretty big feet. Nice thing about fantasy art is you can imagine it any way you want. And give it a little bit of movement, so I'm going to have him not so static and have all his limbs going the same way. It's a little messy, but that's okay. This is just the beginning of the sketch. You're allowed to change things as you go along. You know, when you're in this phase of the drawing, you don't really want to do a whole lot of details. So I'm going to leave off the fluff because that's just something I'll have to redraw later anyway. When you're drawing the legs, you want to make sure it's a little bit higher in the back to show that there's girth and space in between the stomach and the opposite side legs. And of course the tail. Now you can put on the clothing and jewelry at this stage, but I usually like to wait until I've got things more settled. And I'm going to make another layer and choose another color so I can get the arm in there. Not quite sure the way I want it, so let me play around with it a little bit. The arms, you want to make sure you don't get them too long or too short. They should still come about where they would on a normal person. So, a bit where mid-thigh would end up being. Let's go ahead and have him holding something. I'm just going to give him, cartoon fingers here. I don't think I like that. Let's change it. That's another good reason to do layers. If you don't like it, you don't end up accidentally erasing your drawing. Maybe he's going to be holding a spear or something. Not worrying about it being perfect right now. We're just putting things where they need to be so you can figure it out. A little bit of hair. Let's give him a top knot. Alright, there we go. That's our basic sketch. So now we want to clean it up. I'm going to flatten that all into one layer and then start a new one. And this is a chance to see, make sure your proportions are the way you want them to be. Head's a little bit big, but that's okay. I can always change it later if I want. I like to use different colors because it helps me figure out where everything is on the layers in the page. Zoom in a little bit closer. I'm going to give him a little bit of an expression. It's a little neutral at the moment. Looking to the side where the viewer is. Let's make him kind of stern. Alright, let's bring forward the forehead a little bit more. And get in the nose. round out the mouth and muzzle a little bit. It's going to be like a soldier or something, so he's looking very stern and focused. And add in the cheekbone. Add a little bit of fluff to the inside of the ear. And add in the back of the ear. It's got a little bit too thick. Let me fix that. Yay for the eraser tool. There we go. Round out the ear. Maybe add a little bit of fluff there. Add a little bit of fluff to the chin and jawline. A little bit of an Adam's apple there. Give us suggestions of some of the skeletal structure down there. I'm going to make another layer since I'm going to be doing some overlapping here, and I don't want to lose what I've got just in case I make a mistake. So if you're using just pencils and paper, just always draw lightly until you know you want to finish it up. Kneaded erasers are also really great for lightening things up if you decide you need to make some changes. And a little bit of hair to come around and through. A few stray locks here. And the other ear. Get in some of the strands that are being pulled up into the ponytail. A few strands are loose. Draw the twine. We've got tying it all together. And I'm not worrying about line weight right now. Just want to get the lines a little bit more certain in the way I want them, because we're still just sketching. Alrighty, that's pretty good. And also, as usual, save often, which I'm going to do right now because I don't want to lose what I've got. It's always a pain when you suddenly lose electricity or your computer burps or something happens. I'm going to do a little bit of fluff in the chest. You don't have to do that, I just like it. Draw in the chest. Add in the shoulders. I'm going to add a little bit of fluff there. Don't want them too chunky and buff. Just enough. And the elbow, which also going to add some fluff too. And the way you learn how to do muscles and all that again is just reference and practicing. Life drawing is a real good thing you can do. There are lots of royalty-free photos out there available on the internet you can study. Shensi Stock on DeviantArt has really great reference. There's a couple others on there too. You should check them out. And then drawing the hand here. I think I'm going to change the way I'm doing this and have him make a fist instead. So he looks a little bit more stern and such. Just gonna give him 4 fingers because I'm lazy. A little bit of finger fur there. Alright, gonna continue on here. The chest. Let's get those abs a little bit better this time. He's gonna have a 6-pack, so. That's where his belly button will be. Woo! A little bit more fluff. Let's fix that. I'm gonna skip to another layer again so I don't mess up what I've already got. And a little bit of the love handles there. And a little bit of fluff for the chest. And do a little bit of musculature for the shoulder blades there. And a little bit of the shoulder there. Might have to play around with this a little bit more to get it the way I want. A little bit of fluff. I'm gonna make another layer. Change hues because I think I need to sketch out the leg a little bit better than I have here. Now I actually like to flip my artwork around when I'm drawing. I'm not going to do that today since a lot of you I know are probably just using pieces of paper, but flipping over your drawing is a great way to make sure you correct errors that you might not otherwise notice. You can use you can look in a mirror and make corrections afterwards, or you can stick it on a glass door that has a light on the other side. That's a really good way to make corrections, or just get a small light table or a small light tablet. You can get them at like Michael's. Super handy if you don't have a digital application. Alright, that looks good. Do some fluff on the arm again. I think I might need to make the leg a little bit longer. And get the toes in there. You can use the toe tutorial I just did in the other video. This is a cat, so I'm going to make the toes nice and rounded and squishy. Cats have very squishy toes. They're very adorable toes, though. And again, because it's a cat, I'm not going to show the claws out. He's just stern. He's not angry yet. A little bit of fluff. And then a little bit more fluff through the ankle. Let's scoot that over. There we go. Do the dew paw or dew claw. And first toes and the other toes. And again, I like them nice and round and kind of loose. You're not going to see all the toes from the perspective we have here. Let's zoom back out. I think I made the toes a little bit too big, so I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. Yay, transformation tool. Again, another good reason to have a digital application. Squish it down a little bit. There we go. That way you don't have to completely redraw everything all the time. That looks better. There we go. Gonna do another layer here. Get in that back leg. Add a little floof. And some more floof. And because the end of the foot here is bending, you want to make sure it's a little bit, probably further down than this, but not quite as further down as the front foot. You see a little bit of the paw pad there. Add in a little bit of the joint there. Now, when you're doing a tar that's not a centaur, you want to make sure that you reference the type of shapes that that animal has, because horses and wolves and cats don't all have the same kind of back, so that's pretty important. And we're going to make it nice and foofy with some fluff. If I wanted to, I could make it really fluffy. And make sure all the feet are where they need to be. I think I'm going to lower that down just a little bit more. Just a tidge. There we go. Alright, I'm going to do that other arm over here. See a little bit of his arm from the other side. If it helps, sometimes you can draw it in there if you need to make sure everything fits where it should. So the other nice thing about digital. And draw the thumb in there. The bent of the finger and another finger. And pinkies tend to come in a little bit further around than the other digits. There we go. Might be able to see a little bit of the knuckle. I'm going to give him a little bit of fingernail too. Okay, I'm going to erase what I don't need. That looks okay. Time to fix the spear. The spear looking a little funny. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use a line tool here to make my line nice and straight. So, or you can use like an actual ruler. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a diagonal. Try again. There we go. That looks good. And something else you can do for your drawings to make them look a little bit more 3D is to have things overlap. So in this case, this is going to go on to his other side. So I'm going to erase some of the lines I just did. There we go. I'm going to draw in the edges here. Erase the top of that because it's going off the edge of the page if I want to put a spear tip on there. we go. That's a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in here and put in some lines for how it's held on to the spear. Gonna have to neaten that up later, but it's good for now. And then add some wrapping marks. Make it easier for him to hold on to his spear there. There we go. Gonna erase some of the lines again. And erase, let's see, the part that overlaps. There we go. It's looking pretty decent. I'm gonna fade off my original sketch, flatten down the whole sketch, double check what I need to do here, lighten that up a little bit more on the background, make a new layer, add a little bit more detail. A bit more muscle back there. Thicker line around the hand. And again, I'm not going to ink this because I want to just make these nice and quick and easy for everybody to follow along with. A little bit more of those muscle marks from along the rib. And as you play around with your drawing, you can fix things that bother you a little bit. I usually go over my drawings when I want to finish them and make them, professional quality. I'll go over them a couple times until I'm happy with them. It's usually not a sit down, wham bam, you're done. I do a lot of flipping around and checking reference and moving things around. I also like to do thumbnails. I'll try to do a tutorial on that too later. But these are supposed to be quick and fun, so. But please do let me know if you have suggestions for other tutorials. Oops. Yay for undo. There we go. And then once I'm happy with the way things look, I'll start adding in those little extra details like clothing or jewelry. So let's give him a couple bracelets. And another good way to make things look not so stiff is to make sure there's overlapping and squishing and directionality. Let's make that a little bit more obvious here. There we go. Now it's okay to refine things as you go along. Let's see, let's give him a leather bracelet over on this side. And a little bit of musculature here. Fix a little bit of the fluff. Again, you just learn how the muscles go by looking at photos or, visiting zoos and doing sketch studies if you happen to have a zoo close by. But photos, again, can be your friends. And let's see, let's fix up that line. Add some foof. Everybody likes foof. And let's give him another bracelet around the tail. And maybe a cuff. There we go. Put a little gemstone in there. There we go. Fancy smancy. And there we go. I'm going to draw in the line for where the ground is. Oh, here. Let's not be cheap. Let's give him some grass. There we go. Another layer, and add some foof for the grass. Have it overlapping as he walks along. Give it that 3D kind of look. And it's bending over because he's walking on top of it. And fade out that last layer. And let me zoom out a little bit so you can see all of it. And there you have it. You've got a sketch of a Cattaur. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have suggestions for other ideas in the future, please let me know. I would love to hear your ideas. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.